Hello, Aglaé. Good to have you here as part of the exhibition and the discussion about the future of territorial development in Europe. Aglaèe Degros is head of the Institute Urbanis at the Graz University of Technology and director of the office at Generin. You and your partner, Stefan Bendix, have worked on new coexisting forms and urban development on territorial scale. In many cities today, you can observe how the relationship to conventional form of mobility is changing very fast. The bicycle is becoming more important, the petrol-driven car is being forced out. Parking spaces are disappearing and local public transport is becoming more important. But nobody knows today exactly how this relationship will change in the future. How is it possible to plan for urban areas whose infrastructure is undergoing such change?
Thank you, Natalia, for this question. As you mentioned, we don't know exactly the future. That means that basically we know that we are in changing condition, climatic changing condition, but we don't know exactly the position that we have to take regarding this. And we see that there is two dominant positions at the moment, or we see a kind of techno-solutionism. That means that we will go through infrastructure which are high-tech and mobility which is very high-tech, or we see another way, a kind of regressive position which propose to return to the 50s and the car and the mobility that we knew and we still have a bit. And I think that there is a third way. I think that there is a way which can be social and ecological. And that means that in the changing condition, I think what we should define really clearly is our position. And for me, I define it really clearly by this position, which is this third way of looking at the relation between the city, the infrastructure, and the landscape.
You have won many important competitions where cities wanted to reorganize central traffic areas. Do we also need new forms of competitions?
As I mentioned, the position that we take regarding the question that is asked for us in a competition is very important. And for me, that's a key issue that we should much more encourage in the competition to talk about the position. Do we reuse? Do we demineralize? That's a kind of position we take regarding the question. And that's maybe not all the time the case. And I think maybe in the way we at the moment develop the competition, it's more a kind of ready-made image that we deliver and not that much a document which is a base of negotiation with what must be done or what is really the thing that we cannot negotiate, what is in between, and the thing that we can negotiate. I think that at the moment, what is very important and due to the changing condition that we have, it's also challenging the way we answer to the question.
Our next question is about one of these spaces in motion. If we look to the spatial dimension of streets, they emerge as the in-between space per excellence. These kind of spaces are also the theme of this exhibition. Can you outline in a few sentences what a normal street space in the in-between city, the Zwischenstadt, could look like in the future?
I think what we forgot often is that street and infrastructure, they are public space simply. I think that it looks much more as a space which is dedicated to green and blue structure with a lot of active mobility. That would be the social encounter or place to stay, than a place which is asphalted and dedicated to car mobility. And of course, that's a challenge in the peri-urban space because we are not used to that, because it's a space which is structured by the car mobility. There is recently an example in Genk in Belgium that was presented as one of the project for the best public space of Belgium in this direction.
Yes, that's exactly our next question. Is what would this new understanding of the street that you propose mean for the neighboring architecture? Can you cite an example, possible a city that is already moving in this direction?
Yeah, I think there are many cities that move in this direction. We are currently doing a book which is called Courage, Mut Maker, giving courage for the transformation of infrastructure. And it's incredible the amount of example we can find. Milan made it, Paris made it, Vienna is doing it. A lot of cities, even smaller cities like St. Pölten, Leuven, well, we have many examples. But what is, I think, very difficult is that those transformations, they remain. The periodization of those transformations is a point of attention at the moment, as we know from Berlin, where those transformations, they were pilot, but they never became norm. And I think that's where lies the challenge for me. And also, of course, those examples I mentioned, those are town. Those are not peri-urban space. There is still a work to be done.
I want to refer to your very influential book, Territorial Urbanism Now, where you are focusing on the territorial scale, where you are also focusing on the territorial scale of the mobility transition. This turnaround has also its social aspects. And one of the actual reasons cited for the current shift to the far right is that rural residents feel left behind regarding to their mobility needs. One question I'm interested in is, have architects and city planners a certain responsibility for this gap regarding to recent planning strategies?
I think it's really interesting that for a long time, all the dissertation made at the university, they start with, I will study the urban because it's 50% of the population of the world living in the urban. Yes, and I all the time saw, yes, and what with the other 50%? And I think we neglected a bit this part because we saw it's not where the wealth, it's not that vivid maybe, and we forgot a bit to look at the other 50%, yes? And that's maybe one point. The other point is that we often consider, and in terms of mobility a lot, the rurality, the peri-urban as the urban. And I think that's really different because it requires other instruments to understand what are really the problem and what is exactly the situation. I think if we draw the train line in France in 1994, we can see that the whole territory is covered equally in terms of space and time. And then if we draw the same with the train connection with in 2014, we say that there are cities that are really close to one another. Those are the ones connected with the high-speed train. But we see also that there is big gaps in the network if you relate the space and the time. That means that we have part of the territory that are quite neglected. And it is the same if we made a similar drawing from the bus lines in the south of Belgium. Those two examples, they show how we should more consider the rurality, maybe not with the instrument that we use in the city, but with another view.
A question which interests me a lot, small villages, they don't have this, let me say, planning power. So can this social gap we are talking about be bridged as part of a regional plan, but that regional plan looks a little bit like a master plan, and we know that these master plans don't really work very well today. I think you are also citing the Bregenz example. What are these villages, for example, doing there?
I think what we can see in the Vorarlberg is a decentralization. That means that we have several small settlement or small town, I would say, that have different infrastructure, and the relation and the infrastructure is not built in a kind of relation to a center, a city center, but more as a network. And it relates the different specialized infrastructure which are in the settlement or in the town. And that means that, of course, the people living in the town, they have a more direct accessibility to this specialized infrastructure or to a place to work. The conclusion for me is that we just have to challenge the routine we have in terms of mobility, but a lot also in terms of planning.
So thanks a lot for this roundabout to, I think, very important idea about territorial urbanism.
Thank you, Aglaée.